Let me take you back to a sun-scorched island in the Pacific, the air thick with smoke heat, and the metallic scent of battle. The year is 1942. The Marines are pushing through dense jungle and cratered beaches, expecting fierce resistance, yet ahead lies a sight that will make men stop in disbelief. A Japanese Hogo tank, hunched behind a ridge, its armor paper thin against the firepower of the United States, its mere presence an almost comical relic in the face of American ingenuity. Sound of distant artillery camera pans across shattered palm trees and mud-filled trenches. Marines crouched behind rocks and logs, sweating blood and fear, yet grinning at the absurdity of what they face. Bullets flying past the Hogo without leaving a mark. The tank seems invincible, yet utterly vulnerable. Every 50 cal round tearing through steel that offers no real protection, engines sputtering weakly. The enemy inside, oblivious or terrified, the Marines realize that courage and firepower have turned the tables in a way that seems almost unreal. The Hogo symbolizes the desperation and resourcefulness of an enemy who cannot match America in production, speed, strength, and firepower, yet in its weakness it teaches a lesson that strategy, intelligence, and confidence can outweigh numbers and reputation. The Marines laugh and cheer in disbelief, yet know that every engagement carries risk. Every second is life or death in the Pacific theater across the battlefield. Marines ready their weapons, coordinate movements, shouting orders. Every 50 cal round a statement of dominance, each maneuver a testament to training and resolve. The Hogo may have seemed a tank, but in reality it is an object lesson in American superiority, the ingenuity of the men who built and trained the Marines, and the bravery of those willing to face danger without hesitation. Let me take you back to the Japanese war factories of the late 1930s, a time when the Empire sought to mechanize its army on a shoestring budget. The Hogo tank was born, a light machine, barely armored, barely armed, designed for speed and numbers rather than strength, a vehicle meant to overwhelm infantry in Asia, yet utterly unprepared to face the firepower of the United States Marines moving across the Pacific. Sound of hammers striking steel camera pans across Japanese factories, workers welding thin armor plating onto small chassis, engines sputtering under heat. The tank taking shape, a testament to efficiency and ingenuity, but constrained by material shortages and strategy focused on mobility over protection. The Hogo was clever in design for its intended wars, yet tragically inadequate when confronted with American might. When Marines first encountered the Hogo, they could not help but notice its flaws. The armor that could stop small rifles could not withstand 50 cal rounds. The guns that were meant to intimidate infantry barely scratched the robust American vehicles and weapons. This imbalance highlighted the contrast between nations producing weapons for survival and nations producing weapons for dominance across jungles and beaches. Marines began to study the tank, observing how it moved slowly through mud, struggled on uneven terrain, and offered little cover to the crew inside. The Hogo became a symbol of what happens when courage is unmatched by industrial and technological power. The men laughed at the absurdity, yet remained disciplined, aware that even a weak tank could cause chaos if underestimated. Camera pans over a captured Hogo turret with Marines inspecting dents and bullet holes, sunlight glinting off steel. The juxtaposition is clear. This is a machine that inspired fear in its original context, yet against American force it becomes almost comical, yet still teaches a critical lesson in strategy and firepower, showing that preparation, skill, and industrial capacity can render even enemy armor irrelevant. Let me take you to the beaches of a remote Pacific island, the sun blazing overhead, waves crashing and smoke rising from shattered trees. The Marines advance cautiously through dense jungle and cratered terrain, when suddenly a Hogo tank appears crouched behind a ridge, its small turret swiveling slowly, scanning the battlefield, its armor glinting under the sun. A tank meant to intimidate, yet almost inviting fire. Sound of gunfire camera pans across Marines lying prone behind logs and rocks, shouting commands, coordinating movements. A 50 cal mounted on a jeep opens fire. Bull tearing through air and hitting the Hogo, only to pass right through its thin steel armor. The Marines stare in disbelief, then begin to laugh. The absurdity of the moment cutting through the tension for an instant, a mixture of relief and incredulity, as they realize the enemy tank is almost harmless to their weapons. Despite the humor, the men know better than to be reckless. The Hogo is still a machine with a crew capable of returning fire, yet every movement it makes reveals weakness, slow turning treads, easy to disable engines, sputtering weakly, and armor failing to protect against American Bullets the Marines adapt instantly, circling the tank, firing in coordinated volleys, targeting the engine and turret with 50 cal and rifles while keeping themselves in cover across the battlefield. Laughter blends with shouted orders and the rhythmic pounding of bullets. The Hogo takes hits that would immobilize any other vehicle, yet in its weakness it becomes a tool for American morale, a symbol of superiority and preparation, a lesson in how courage combined with skill and technology can render even the enemy's fearsome creations almost laughable. Camera pans over Marines cautiously approaching the disabled tank, examining dents and punctures. Bull. It's still embedded in thin armor. The men grin and exchange nods. The encounter becomes a story of triumph in the Pacific, highlighting American firepower, ingenuity, and bravery, showing that preparation and confidence can turn a tense battlefield moment into a historic display of dominance. Let me take you to the moment when American ingenuity turned laughter into lethal efficiency. The 50 cal Browning heavy machine gun, mounted on jeeps and tanks, became the instrument of dominance. Every Marine knew its power and precision. A weapon that could shred thin armor, turn the Hogo into a sitting target, and teach a lesson in industrial and technological superiority. Sound of heavy machine gunfire. Camera pans across Marines adjusting aim, sweating under the tropical sun, their faces tense yet focused. Bullets tearing through thin steel, ricocheting harmlessly off rocks, but embedding themselves in the Hogo's armor. Explosions and smoke filling the air, each hit a statement of dominance and preparation. The enemy crew inside scrambling, unable to defend themselves against a weapon clearly superior to anything they anticipated. Marines coordinate with riflemen and flamethrowers supporting from cover, their movements precise. Every burst of the 50 cal weakening treads engine compartments and turret mechanisms. The Hogo lurches under the fire, its silhouette twisting in the smoke, a fragile shell against American firepower. Men inside laughing as they fire, knowing every round brings them closer to victory without unnecessary risk. Across the battlefield, American forces advance, steadily exploiting the Hogo's weaknesses. Its armor and firepower, no match for disciplined tactics and superior technology. Every Marine understands that the 50 cal is not just a weapon, but an extension of strategy, courage, and confidence. The tank becomes a teaching tool, demonstrating how preparation, skill, and morale can overcome enemy intimidation. Camera pans over the wrecked Hogo, smoking and immobile, with Marines inspecting it from cover, their faces a mixture of awe and amusement. The battlefield echoes with the rhythm of victory. The 50 cal proves decisive not through brute force alone, but through coordination and the unshakable confidence of the men who wield it. A story of American dominance in the Pacific, etched in steel and smoke. Let me take you to the heart of the Marines' camp, just beyond the front lines. The men are exhausted, muddy, and burned by the tropical sun, yet the memory of the Hogo encounter brings an unexpected relief, a moment of levity amid the horrors of war. They laugh, recounting how bullets pass through steel as if it were paper, a strange combination of disbelief, amusement, and pride. Sound of distant artillery fading. Camera pans across Marines, wiping sweat and mud from their faces, exchanging jokes and gestures. Rifles resting beside them, laughter echoing against the shattered trees and cratered earth, their eyes still alert yet glimmering with humor, each retelling, reinforcing the confidence and cohesion of the unit. The Hogo becomes more than a tank. It becomes a story of ingenuity, courage, and survival. Even in the midst of danger, the Marines understood the importance of morale. These moments of shared laughter strengthen bonds that bullets alone cannot forge. Camaraderie and trust in one another became as important as weapons and strategy. The absurdity of the Hogo encounter offered reassurance that superior firepower, training, and teamwork could overcome fear. Intimidation across the camp, soldiers examine captured tank components, noting the weak armor and simple design, sharing tips on how to disable the enemy quickly. They draw sketches and make plans for future encounters, each Marine learning from the moment. The laughter becomes a tool for education and preparation, reinforcing the superiority of American forces and the ingenuity of their tactics. Camera pans to the setting sun over the Pacific battlefield. Marines gathered around a disabled Hogo, smiling, wiping sweat from their brows. The tank stands as a monument to courage and resourcefulness. Men know that humor and discipline together forge resilience, every laugh a reinforcement of confidence, every smile a promise to fight with precision and heart, proving that even the smallest enemy can teach the greatest lessons. Let me take you to the moments after the first encounter where Marines studied the Hogo like a puzzle, each dent in its armor, every weak joint, a lesson in vulnerability and strategy. They knew that understanding the enemy was as vital as firepower. The tank taught them that preparation, observation, and adaptation could turn almost any threat into an opportunity. Sound of rustling foliage and distant artillery camera pans across Marines examining the wrecked Hogo, using measuring tools, pointing at armor plates, discussing angles of attack. Their voices steady and serious, yet tinged with the excitement of discovery, every observation recorded for future missions. Tactical diagrams sketched in mud by the light of portable lamps, the soldiers learning to exploit weaknesses and refine maneuvers in subsequent skirmishes. The Marines applied these lessons with precision, circling enemy tanks, targeting engines and turrets, focusing 50 cal and rifle fire on the most vulnerable points, coordinating attacks with infantry and artillery support. The Hogo became a case study in adaptation and ingenuity, showing that even a lightly armored enemy could be dangerous if underestimated, yet overwhelmingly beatable with strategy and teamwork across jungles and coral beaches. Marines moved with a newfound confidence, knowing their weapons and tactics had been tested and proven effective. The Hogo encounter reinforced their training that courage combined with observation and skill could overcome raw numbers or enemy intimidation. The tank was a reminder that preparation and intelligence amplify human and technological advantages. Camera pans over a column of Sherman tanks and jeeps mounted with 50 cals moving through dense jungle smoke rising from distant explosions. Marines scanning the horizon, eyes sharp and hands steady. The battlefield transformed into a chessboard where knowledge of the enemy allowed Americans to dominate with minimal risk. The Hogo taught lessons of vulnerability, strategy, and relentless ingenuity etched into every Marine's memory. Let me take you to the broader scope of the Pacific Theater, where the Hogo tank was one of many obstacles. American forces faced a small but symbolically important opponent, representing Japanese ingenuity, constrained by resources and strategy, yet still capable of surprising attacks across coral beaches and jungle trails. The tank became a benchmark for assessing enemy capability and planning future operations. Sound of distant shells and artillery camera pans over a map table with Marines pointing at islands and enemy positions, smoke curling from burning palm trees in the background. Aerial views of small Hogo units moving cautiously through dense vegetation, naval gunfire booming. Offshore, the soldiers coordinating land, sea, and air movements to neutralize threats quickly and efficiently with minimal casualties. The encounter with the Hogo on earlier islands became a lesson that shaped the larger campaign. Marines shared stories and tactical diagrams of weak armor, vulnerable treads, and limited armament with commanders and fellow units. The knowledge traveled with them from Guadalcanal to Bougainville, from Saipan to Iwo Jima, ensuring that every small tank encountered could be neutralized swiftly and effectively across jungles and beaches. American forces used superior firepower, mobility, and coordination to dominate engagements with Japanese armor. The Hogo, once a potential source of fear, became almost a symbol of American dominance. The Marines moved with confidence, knowing they could outmaneuver, outgun, and outthink the enemy without unnecessary risk or waste of lives. Camera pans over a cinematic wide battlefield, showing American forces advancing, Shermans and jeeps with 50 cals positioned strategically, Marines advancing in formation, smoke and fire rising from distant engagements. The Hogo appears defeated in scattered wreckage. Contrast emphasizing American technological and tactical superiority, while reminding viewers that even minor victories are built on strategy, courage, and preparation. Let me take you into the close quarters of battle, where the true courage of the Marines revealed itself, each soldier aware that even a weak tank could be dangerous if underestimated, yet determined to face it with skill and precision. One Marine exposing himself briefly to fire a 50 cal round aimed perfectly, another coordinating cover from fellow troops, ensuring no one is left vulnerable. The Hogo becomes a backdrop for bravery, An ingenuity sound of gunfire echoing and metal clanging camera pans inside the jungle and cratered terrain. Marines crawling, ducking, shouting orders yet moving with confidence and focus. Every action deliberate, every maneuver a calculated risk. The men rely on training and instinct, their teamwork flawless as they target the tank's engine, turret, and weak points with rifle and machine gun fire. Stories emerge of Marines risking exposure to rescue comrades pinned down near go tanks, one soldier using smoke to obscure the line of sight, another throwing explosives to disable treads, while teammates provided covering fire, their faces tense yet determined. Each act a testament to courage and quick thinking under life threatening conditions. The absurdity of the Hogo's weakness did not diminish the danger. The men faced camera pans to a Marine leaning against a tree, taking a brief breath, then rushing forward to disable the tank, others following with precision. 50 cal bullets tearing through thin armor, smoke and sparks, flying. The scene cinematic, slow motion capturing intensity, bravery and human emotion, each Marine's actions reinforcing the trust, coordination, and courage that define American forces in the Pacific. The Hog, small and fragile in steel, became a canvas on which American heroism was painted, a lesson in facing danger with courage, skill, and confidence. Even when the odds seem humorous yet real, every Marine emerges a symbol of resolve. Every coordinated strike a demonstration of how preparation, intelligence, and bravery overcome threats, both great and small. Let me take you to the moments after the battle where the Go lay disabled on the scorched Pacific soil. Smoke curling from its weak armor and shattered turret. Marines cautiously approach, examining the tank, noting every dent and hole. Each bullet mark a lesson in vulnerability and tactical superiority. The men grin at the absurdity yet reflect on the importance of preparation and skill. Sound of distant waves, crashing camera pans over Marines inspecting the tank, removing ammo and equipment, documenting weaknesses in notebooks and mud sketches. Light glinting off thin steel, the scene cinematic yet solemn. Every Marine aware that while the Hogo was weak in design, it still demanded respect and vigilance in battle. The tank becomes a case study for training and future operations across the Pacific campaign. The lessons of the Hogo were applied immediately. Subsequent encounters saw Marines neutralizing light tanks with minimal risk using coordinated 50 cal fire combined with infantry support. The knowledge spread rapidly between units, enhancing confidence, morale, and operational efficiency, proving that American ingenuity and preparation could turn even a potentially dangerous encounter into a straightforward victory. Camera pans over captured tanks, lined up for inspection, other Marines studying parts and discussing tactics animatedly. The laughter of earlier encounters now tempered by professional respect. The Hogo becomes a symbol of the difference between American industrial might, firepower, and training versus enemy limitations. A teaching tool embedded in memory and strategy. Sound fades to a quiet battlefield. Camera lingers on Marines standing solemnly beside the disabled Hogo, reflecting on the courage, teamwork, and precision that secured victory. The tank, once feared, now a monument to ingenuity and human resolve, teaches a timeless lesson that preparation, intelligence, and courage can dominate even seemingly daunting threats. That every small victory builds toward larger triumphs. Let me take you beyond the smoke and fire of the battlefield to a place where the echoes of gunfire have faded, and the men who face the Go carry memories that will never leave them. The tank is no longer just a machine, but a symbol of courage, ingenuity, and the power of preparation. Even the smallest enemy can teach the greatest lessons when met with skill and confidence. Sound of gentle ocean waves. Camera pans over modern veterans standing beside restored Hogo tanks. Sunlight glinting off steel, their faces lined with years yet eyes still reflecting pride and remembrance. They speak softly of comrades lost, of battles fought, and of the discipline and strategy that ensured survival and victory. The tank becomes a living link between past bravery and present reflection in museums and collections across the world. The Hog rests under lights, highlighting its fragile form, every dent and hole a story, every mark a testament to resilience and learning. It is more than a relic, it is a lesson in understanding the enemy, in preparation, in coordination, and in courage. The tank, once feared, now teaches new generations about importance of intelligence, training, and teamwork. Camera zooms to children and young soldiers observing the go listening to stories of valor and strategy, the legacy continues, reminding new generations that fear can be overcome by preparation, courage, and cooperation, that what seems weak or absurd can become a powerful lesson in dominance and resilience when faced with knowledge and skill. Sound fades. Camera lingers on the Hogo, silhouetted against the setting sun, American flags waving near. By the narrator speaks softly, the story of the Hogo teaches us that even the smallest enemy can reveal lessons of courage, ingenuity, and preparation, that human resolve and American ingenuity combined can turn weakness into opportunity, and that the spirit of determination, teamwork, and dominance will endure forever.